I would like to extend a warm welcome from Amity School of Languages to Professor Indrajit Bhattacharya. I would request you all to please give a round of applause to sir. Heartiest welcome to Professor Rahul Tripathi and to Professor Deepa Chakravarti. Today we have witnessed an information symphony where we have learned about so many things related to the theme. And I hope this will undoubtedly add value to our professional as well as personal lives. So I would first like to introduce our audience to our guest of honor today, Professor Indrajit Bhattacharya. Sir has a doctorate in museology and conservation. His areas of interest include IoT implementations in museums, automation in museums, artifact conservation, monumental architecture and its interpretations, new historical theories based on new archaeological findings, ancient Indian history, science in ancient India. Sir is a multilingual and has proficiency in Brahmi, on manuscripts, sculptures, and coins, Sharda, Sinhala, and Jain Nagari. This is something very rare combination which sir has mastered upon, I must say. His master's in museology and of course has all the qualifications which are required for a senior professor. So a unique ability which he has to manage multidisciplinary projects and to navigate complex challenges has paved his way to success. And definitely, sir, we are really grateful to have you here today with us as a guest of honor. So without further ado, I would request sir to kindly come and address the gathering. Thank you so much, sir.
That's arrived late. Can we that's great. We can wait till now. It's okay good. We can wait.
We can do one thing.
But sir, your presentation will be long enough and it will just sir चाय सर आप प्लीज चाय लीजिए मैं जितने बच्चों को बिठा दूँ प्लीज सर प्लीज प्लीज
So next.
Next.
Yeah.
क्या समझ पाएगा? ये वाला है ना?
Yes, yes, sir.
Arrow keys काम
Next.
करें।
Arrow key.
Check.
All these students, please settle down. Meanwhile, you people can search these terms. What is numismatics? I'm sure that you don't know this term and haven't read it before. Sorry? Okay. All right. Great. Good. We have some. What is museology? From somebody who is a fresher? Conservation. Conservation.
ये स्लीप मोड पे तो नहीं चला जाता है ना?
नहीं सर,
हाँ?
नहीं जाता।
अच्छा, ठीक है। कई में क्या होता है कि वो बिल्कुल स्लीप मोड में है।
नहीं नहीं सर, नहीं। नहीं होना है। और पढ़ूंगा।
ठीक है।
अभी सारे बच्चे बैठ जाए।
कौन है? हेलो। करेक्ट। हाँ। ठीक। Let's start now. Okay. Am I audible? Yes. A very happy good afternoon to all of you. And sound all right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, it is really. And I thank Amity University, Rajasthan for giving me this opportunity and this honor to be with you, to share my ideas, views about this topic of the conference, revisiting history, ethnicity, and myth in literature. In fact, it is a vast topic, and these three components, that is history, ethnicity, myth, itself require at least 7 days workshops to fulfill or satisfy the quest of what they are basically. So still in this session, I will try to wind up these things very fast. And what is the part which they play, what is their interrelationship, and what is the link with the literature. That is what we are going to discuss. I am Dr. Indrajit Bhattacharya, and I deal with museology, conservation, epigraphy, numismatics, and archaeology. Conservation का मेरे पास कोई जवाब आया नहीं था अभी, तो conservation मैं बता देता हूँ. It is basically the treatment of artifacts. I think you know artifacts, what are they? They are the objects which are kept in the museum. So the treatment of such artifacts, and for why do we cure these artifacts? Because they stay in their current position. So it's basically called conservation. Just like we have doctors to treat the human beings, the patients, in just the same manner, we have conservation, and the conservationists do the task of conserving and preserving these artifacts. So revisiting history, ethnicity, and myth in literature, we start with the basic terms, first of all. When we talk of literature and myth, history, and ethnicity, we see an interrelationship. In your brochure of the conference, it is being written that does literature play an important role in myth, history, and ethnicity? So from my studies and my experience, I would certainly say yes. And in the upcoming slides, you will all be able to see why I'm saying this. Regarding myth, history, and ethnicity, they all three terms are interrelated. Somewhere down the line, one of these terms give reference to the other, and the other gives a proof for the previous one. So how that is, again, I will explain in the upcoming slides. So we start with myth, basically. This is a very simple definition. I am not getting into the details of which scholar has given what all definitions for myth, ethnicity, and history. There are several definitions by several scholars as per their view and perception. Myth is simply explained as a narrative that may be used to explain the early history of a group of people, place, or things. So it keeps on, means changing. What changes basically is the narrative. One event happens that is explained in simple terms. Say, for example, an asteroid destroyed dinosaurs on the planet Earth. So this is one statement. And this could be put in another manner, that the nature decides that since it cannot sustain the existence of dinosaur, so it destroyed the existence of dinosaurs through an asteroid. Now, the second one is slightly poetic, imaginative explanation, and we call such type of explanations as myths. So these myths are being passed down from one generation to another generation, and from one mouth to another mouth. They keeps on changing, and they changes with exaggerations also. Many exaggerations takes place, and ultimately their version becomes something different. We come to the second term, history. History is a systematic study and documentation of the human past. In fact, in our context, that is in Indian context, we do not had any term called history. What we had is called itihas. So we will look further. There's a difference between these two terms, history and itihas. They are quite different in meaning, though we follow the dictionary meaning and we treat itihas and history as same. So history basically is a term which is being given by the Western world, and it needs references, proofs for an incident. Then only it is basically treated as a real. Ethnicity is a term, again, which is related to the culture of people in a given geographic region, including their language, heritage, religion, and customs. Now, if you see these three terms on your screen, myth, history, and ethnicity, all three relates to three different streams of studies as well. Now, myth gets related to philosophy, history to our humanities studies, and ethnicity to our anthropology. So that's why I said this is a huge topic which we have taken in this conference. And in one session, it is not possible to fully cover or explain these things. Still, we are trying to do that. Coming to the myth in detail, we are now going to take the myth. It helps in deeper understanding of mankind, as well as instruct and preach about the perfect way of human life. So basically, myth are the incidents which may or may not be real, or if it is real, they are exaggerated over a period of time. What makes it important is that there are various kinds of learnings for the society, for the peoples in it. And for that purpose, educational purpose, they are basically being circulated. They are basically being passed on from generation to generation. Myth holds history, customs, ancient faiths, and traditions. Yes, it does contain history because many historical accounts has been later on discovered by just reading the incidents or stories which have been given by the mentioned in the myths. There are customs, there are ancient faiths and traditions which we are still following. Each one of us belong to a different uh, sect, different tribe, different, you can say, origin, and we have our own separate customs. We have our own ancient faiths. Myth often fused with legends, chronicles, and folklores in order to shape belief of the common people. So myth often fused with legend, chronicles. Legends and chronicles means we have heroes in our mythical studies. We will come to that also. There are different kind of myths. So we have different heroes. Say for example, in Western world, there's a hero called Hercules. There are heroes called Achilles and Hector. So these are being defined very well in the Iliad. I think many of you who belong to English literature might have studied Iliad. Yes or no? Yeah. So these are basically legends. Then you have chronicles, the old text, and folklores. Folklores are plenty in number. I don't know, many people have lost the lure of reading the books. Basically, now it is being replaced by PlayStations and mobiles. So reading habit is very much reduced. But in our times, we have many story books and very novels which we have gone through. I remember one Hindi monthly magazine which at my childhood I used to hire from my newspaper vendor. I don't know whether it is still in practice or not. It is called Nandan. Have you heard of it? Nandan. I don't know whether it is still there or not, but it was a wonderful magazine in which the local stories, that is the myths of Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Slovakian countries, Russia, India, they are included and they were wonderful to read. So these are called basically folklores, which are being common and popular in the communities. Sometimes these folklores are the offshoot of real incidents as well. For example, I being Bengali, we have a saying in Bengali that I just read one line of that. Borgi elo deshe. What is the fourth? Shona ghumolo, pada judolo, borgi elo deshe. Shona ghumolo means the child sleeps. Pada judolo means the entire mohalla sleeps. And why they sleeps? Because borgi elo deshe. Borgi means in this late, when the Maratha kingdom was at its peak and it reached Bengal, that time a regiment attacked Bengal and the local Bengalis called them Borgis. So that is the term which is basically being used, Borgi elo deshe. So they did a lot of snatching and bloodshed, and that's why there was a terror among the local peoples. So they used to just say, like in Sholay, there was a dialogue, na, beta soja gabbar aa jayega. Just like that, they used to say, Borgi elo deshe, so please sleep, be silent. So that is basically, these are something which the folklore develops with time. use of rich tradition of using myth and folklores in literary works. Now, this is an observation which we can see in both West as well as India. In West, there are various mythological stories, mythological epics. I just talked about Iliad, then there are Norwaying, Egyptian, and Greek mythologies. And similar to that, in India, we have Mahabharata, Ramayana, and Upkathas of Mahabharata also. Upkathas means the sub-stories. I don't know whether you have heard of them or not, but the story of your Barbarik, that is Khatu Shyamji, the story of Babruahan, the story of what you say, this thing, Subhadra, they are basically sub-stories. Attack on Dwarka by Shalv, that is also a sub-story of Mahabharata. So these are basically the folklores, epics, and this has become now a tradition that many fictional work has been done on that. So in West, we see T.S. Eliot, W.B. Yeats, James Joyce, William Golding, and etc. legends and myths extensively in their works. They have used these legends or legendary titles and characters in their work. Similar to that, in India also, there are a lot of authors which are coming up. We have A.K. Ramanujam, Raja Rao, R.K. Narayanan, modern writers like Shashi Tharoor, Amish Tripathi, Devdutt Patnaik. I think you all are aware of these names, right? And these are available in your Amazon, Flipkart, and even in your crossword. Crossword also you can get these books. So these are certain novelist writers who are utilizing these epics in that manner, creating these fictional novels. They are not real, basically. So it's sort of myth, basically. Okay, coming to type of myths. The first, we have historical myths. That is narrating the story of the past with addition of more meaning to it. Example, the depiction of 5 Pandavas in Mahabharata. Now, 5 Pandavas, as such, we see are 5 characters. But some of the scholars, authors, researchers treat them as the 5 qualities of the human life, 5 values of the human life, and thus they are treated in that manner. Similar to that, we have Iliad mentioning the battle in which there is a battle between Achilles and Hector, which is mentioned in Homer's Iliad. There is a fight between the good and bad, which is basically being mentioned. So the pictures depict these two. This is just a symbolic representation. Actually, how they look, that is not known to us. This is just a pictorial representation. The second is etiological myths. Describes how a particular thing was formed, why it is the way it is, and its origins, why it is the way, why it is there in existence, and what is the reason behind it. In Indian mythology, it is believed that thunderbolt is generated by Lord Indra's weapon, Vajra. And very similar to that, in Greek mythology, we have a god named as Zeus. I think you all have heard about him. So Zeus is considered as the god of thunderbolt. Another very interesting account which we see is that in Chinese mythology, there's a goddess called Nua. And it is said that Nua has the work of creating human beings. Now, after a certain period of time, when she became tired of creating human beings, she created a concept called marriage, whereby human beings can create their offsprings, and thus the population went on like that. So these are just So this is basically nothing, but this is just a sort of concept and why it is created. The picture depicts Vajra in the right hand of Indra. Third kind of myth is psychological myths. According to Carl Jung and Joseph Campbell, psychological myths were told as it was psychological need by individuals to balance their outside world with their inner consciousness of it. Example, the epic of Gilgamesh, the king of Uruk. Have you heard of Gilgamesh? No? Anyway, I will just give a brief account. Have you heard of Assyrian civilization? Assyrian civilization. It was just near where we have Jordan and Syria. Anyway, so in Syrian civilization, there's a poem which talks about this great ruler Gilgamesh. He was basically considered to be created by God, but he was very hefty and proudy sort of person. So God decided to teach him a lesson, and he sent another equivalent king through which he became humble, basically. This is a long story about it. So this is a psychological change among a character. This kind of change we also observe in Indian mythology. Have you heard of a story of Nahush in Indian mythology? Nahush was a king who replaced Indra when Indra went into exile. And he was made king because of his good deeds, but as he acquired the position of Indra, he became very rude, very proudy. And he used to start doing all bad things to the other god of the heaven. And later on, the god decided to teach him a lesson. So that is called downfall of Nahush. So he asked Shachi, the queen of Indra, to invite Nahush. And the condition was he should come in a palanquin, which should be driven by the sages, the rishis. And deliberately, the rishis were taking him very slowly. Frustrated, he put his feet on one of the rishis' shoulder and said, Sarp, Sarp, means Jaldi chalo, move fast, move fast. And the rishi turned and cursed him that let you be Sarp. And he fell down on the earth as a Sarp and led a cursed life. So these types of stories comes under psychological myths. Chthonic myths, death deals with issues of destruction and death. Myths of artifacts, afterlife were used as a way to explain why people experience good or bad events in life. Example, the story of Maat, the Egyptian goddess of underworld, and the concept of Yam and Chitragupt in Indian mythology. You might be knowing about Yam and Chitragupt. So he takes into account of all your deeds, and the decision is made when one arrives at their doorstep, whether he should go to heaven or hell. In a similar manner, in Egypt, we have this goddess called Maat. She has equilibrium. And when a dead soul approaches, or his heart is taken out and is put into the one flank of the equilibrium, and to the other flank, she puts the feather of her truth. It's called a truth, feather of truth. If the feather of truth is weighed light compared to the heart, then the person is again sent for a rebirth, or he is given freedom from the cycle of birth and rebirth. So this is the sort of myths comes under Chthonic myths. Then there are myths related to gods and goddesses in every religion, sect, and tribes. So you might have understood what basically deals with myths, what we call something which is unrecorded, unseen. This is what we have just discussed. Examples, we have myths in Greek, Egyptian, Roman, Norway, religious texts and characters. In India also we have these myths. Feature and role of myths. This is another very important thing. What features they have and what roles they play. They include the supernatural power and events. Basically, if you observe, they will all be filled with miracles and various kind of supernatural happenings or events. They may include humans and non-humans. Location of myth often matches location where the myth is being told. This is again another very peculiar thing, that all the myths which originate in a region relates to that particular region also. So if you take a consideration of Indian myths, all the landscape and places which are described in them relates to that particular region. It includes battle between dark and light, good and evil. Include incidents where a human undergoes metamorphosis in either ways, bad to good or good to bad. Used as lessons and a guide for society, a myth would cover various subjects of human life such as birth, death, the hereafter, concepts of good and evil, after suffering, means, animals, the origins of certain things, the beginning of the world and man, stories of gods, etc. This is all what is where the role is being played. Okay. It's not moving. Okay, goodness, slow bit. We come to history, in which we see unrecorded history, that is prehistory. Unrecorded, why we call it? Because at that time, human civilization didn't know the art of writing. So we consider it as unrecorded history. Recorded history is basically which is being written by peoples observing certain events, certain peoples, certain happenings. And accordingly, there is classification of historical accounts as per the time and space. Like in India, we have history divided into three segments: ancient, medieval, and modern. So this is basically the time and space, how the differentiation is being made. There can be other differentiations as well. History and itihas, the first known use of the word history is found in late Middle English, derived by a Latin from Greek word historia, that signifies finding out, narrative. History, the way it is understood, seeks evidence in the form of defined by modern methods. Itihas is the other hand, is much older word and has its relevance on references on Puranas. The literally meaning of word itihas is thus it was, as it was, which means the event, place, or objects narrated as observed. Main thing which you must be clear about this difference is itihas does not require any justification or any proof. It is basically based on myths, stories, as narrated as by the peoples who have observed the events and the peoples. Whereas history is purely event concept, which is based on the advocacy or the proof by the scholars, जिसे हम कहते हैं हिंदी में दलील. तो हर इंसिडेंट की एक दलील होनी चाहिए, एक प्रूफ होना चाहिए, तभी जाके उसको हिस्ट्री में इंक्लूड किया जाता है. Ethnicity, we call group of people living together and who have common culture, religious beliefs, practices, language, geographical location. They basically are the anthropological perspectives. Examples: state ethnicity, tribe ethnicity. यहाँ जैसे गर्सिया जाति के लोग रहते हैं आपके माउंट आबू एंड सिरोही डिस्ट्रिक्ट के अंदर, That is basically a ethnicity where a particular region is being inhabited by those peoples. They have a peculiar sort of dressing sense. They have a different food habit, and even their ornaments are different. If you want to visit, you can visit it through Mount Abu Museum. It's beautifully being depicted there. Then in eastern side, you have Santals, that is one tribe which have a different ethnicity. Coming to literature, literature again, we have different definitions as per different scholars. So we have a written, very simple definition is a written work which may be real or imaginary or a combination of both. जैसे मैंने कहा कि जो इंसिडेंट्स होते हैं उनमें ठीक है मैंने एक इंसिडेंट ऑब्जर्व किया उसको लिखा या उसको बोला इंसिडेंट लिखने से पहले पहले बोला जाता था देयर वाज ओरल ट्रेडिशंस एंड बोलने में ये दिक्कत होती थी कि कई बार हर इंसिडेंट में अतिशयोक्ति अलंकार लग जाता था अतिशयोक्ति अलंकार का मतलब क्या होता है एग्जैजरेशन और फिर क्या होता था कि अल्टीमेटली द थिंग्स गेट अ डिफरेंट मीनिंग एंड दे गेट अ डिफरेंट पर्सपेक्टिव फॉर एग्जांपल आई गिव यू अ स्मॉल एग्जांपल जैसे हमारे रामचरितमानस है ठीक है इसमें आपके लंका कांड है अलग अलग डिफरेंट है उसमें एक फ्रेज कई बार बोला जाता था कि हनुमान की पूंछ में लग न सकी थी आग लंका सारी जल गई गए निशाचर भाग Now, how could this be possible कि हनुमान की पूंछ में लग न सकी थी आग because if that might have happened the fire would not have been propagated throughout the city in any manner. So these are sort of words which are basically being used, phrases which are basically being used. Literature has different form, text fictions, non-fictional poems, prose, drama. All are sources of history. Literature, myth in literature. So you have various religious texts which are examples of it. They are the beliefs of the community. They are the beliefs of the people. Ethnicity in literature, mention of tribes, states, nations, countries. In Mahabharata, if you study it deeply, there are plenty ethnicitycal evidences which are being provided. Gandharv, Kinnar, Nag, these are different kinds of ethnicity which are being mentioned in this literature. So they have states also. You have Matsya, Chedi, Panchal, Magad, different countries are being mentioned there. So you will come to know about that. History in literature, events, places, and people. So that have you read about Panchatantra Jataka tales? So there are various mention of cities, and I think Varanasi is one of them, which is the most popular. That itself indicates how old this city was. So we come to know about these places, we come to know about various events, we come to know about these peoples from these literatures. And when we dig deep, we actually get some historical accounts. We'll come to that also. Literature, literary sources in Indian context. These are some examples which I have presented in front of you. Religious text, we have Vedas, Vedant, Mahabharata, Ramayana, Shot Sutra, Grey Sutra, Buddhist text, and Jataka tales, Jain text. Then you have secular text, Dharma Sutras, Manusmriti, you have biographies. Yeah, just take it. Biographies, inscription, coins, archaeology, material evidences, accounts of foreign travelers. All these are produces literature and we get a lot of information from that. One important thing I would like to add here is you will be surprised to know that various archaeological findings have been based on these literature which we do not consider or treat even real. Mostly जितने भी बुद्धिस्ट आर्कियोलॉजिकल एक्सकवेशंस हुए हैं उसमें जो स्तूप मिले हैं, चैत्य मिले हैं, ये सारे के सारे आपके स्टोरीज के बेसिस पे मिले हैं. So that's why literature is so important for us. This is just a photograph of manuscript. नेवारी में लिखा हुआ है ये script. And this is coin from Satvahan period. Then there's a inscription. ये अशोक time के ब्राह्मी script है. So these are certain text, that is literature, from where we get a lot of information basically. Literature sources, threats and preventions. ये मैं just brief में आपको थोड़ा बता देता हूँ, since I am done projects on epigraphy as well. So basically we have, it's a means unfortunate thing with our subcontinent कि पहले भी हमारे resources लिए गए हैं, अब भी हमारे resources लिए जा रहे हैं. There are many manuscripts which are still being smuggled out from the country, and they are finding research labs in Germany, USA, Denmark, Scotland, all these places. So our try should be, means we should try that we should preserve these manuscripts and study them and get more and more information of our history, especially the ancient history. Importance of literature. Literature holds a mirror to the society, beliefs, traditions, customs, most behavior patterns, etc. of the society to a particular historical period are reflected directly or indirectly in the literary works such as fiction, drama, poetry, and so on. Example, religious faith, administration, people in the society help us to know a fact about rulers, and the person who has written that is also treated as historian. Provide detailed information on the objects and events of the past, helped in finding new historical account, places, and timeline. Now, addressing the theme questions, यही थी theme questions आपके ब्रोशर में दिए हुए हैं. यही मैं पढ़ रहा हूँ आपके सामने और इसी को मैं आंसर कर रहा हूँ. पहला है, are history, ethnicity, myth complementary to each other? Yes, very much yes. What are the theories executed to analyze and compare these elements? Now, theories, ये आपके separate discipline, the separate disciplines में जो theories हैं, उन theories को ही यहाँ पे analyzation के लिए use किया जा सकता है. Is there a particular sort of language or range of critical terms that should be used while debating the concept? Yes. That is required because all three concepts are technical, highly technical. और ये वाला point आपके next point से भी जुड़ा हुआ है. Is this really nothing more than jargon? And if yes, should jargon be avoided? Yes, you will have jargons in this discussion, but you have to understand them. They cannot be avoided. You can simplify them for your understanding or the explanation. What is meant when people talk about history, ethnicity, and myth in literature? What is meant means the civilization as a whole we talk about, the learnings as a whole we talk about, culture, everything, heritage, everything. Culture indicates your food habits, your clothing, your trade and commerce, your military arrangement, administration, everything. So this is what is the epilogue, and very much thanks for being here to listen my views. Okay. Okay.
Thank you very much, sir, for such comprehensive presentation. In a very simple and lucid manner, you have explained these three terms. And I must say that very meticulously you have studied our brochure and have delivered such beautiful session to us. Thank you so much, sir. So what I finally understood from your presentation is that history, mythology, and scriptures are the three branches of knowledge. History is ever new. Mythology is ancient, and scriptures are eternal. So in all, history, mythology, and scriptures are always new, and it tunes with our theme of the conference, which is revisiting history, ethnicity, and myth and literature. So thank you so much again for such wonderful session, sir. And we are really sorry for we are running short of time. Otherwise, we would have listened to you for more hours and hours. But sorry, sir, for this session. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm round of applause to one of the most phenomenal men of our community who has joined us online, Professor Nibir Ghosh. Sir, could you hear me? Like, are you with us?
Yes, dear, I'm here.
A very good afternoon to you, sir, and a warm welcome from Amity School of Languages to this two-day international conference on revisiting history, ethnicity, and myth and literature. We are really glad to have you here. And I know that, you need no introduction. Sir is such a renowned name in our community. I'm sure that everybody is excited to listen to you, sir. But just because there are students from other department as well sitting, so I just want to read out your bio note. So Professor Nibir Ghosh is UGC Emeritus Professor in the Department of English Studies and Research, Agra College. He was Senior Fulbright Fellow at the University of Washington, Seattle, USA, is the author of widely acclaimed books such as, to name a few, Beyond Boundaries, Multicultural America, Conversations with Contemporary Authors, and Calculus of Power. His most recent works include Mirrors and Lamps, Gandhi and His Soul Force Mission, Charles Johnson, Shaping Minds, and many more. So, a hearty welcome to you, sir. Sir, I would also like to say that sir is the chief editor of a very well-known journal, Remarkings, and I'm sure most of us have contributed papers into that journal. So once again, a hearty welcome to Professor, and over to you, sir. We are curious to listen to you. Thank you, sir. Sir, is there any PPT which you would like to share?
No.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much for your warm words of affectionate welcome. And I'm thankful to the university for inviting me here as the keynote speaker. I'll be talking about a topic, History in the Future Tense, revisiting Girish Karnad's Tughlaq. God, what's the country coming to? This exclamatory statement could very well be taken to be the lament of any ordinary Indian citizen in the contemporary context. But amazingly, it is a statement uttered by an old man at the very outset of Girish Karnad's Tughlaq. The scene is the yard in front of the Chief Court of Justice in Delhi, the year 1327 AD. 7 centuries later, disillusionment seems to be a factor which unifies the reign of Muhammad bin Tughlaq with that of post-colonial India caught in the vortex of many crises. Girish Karnad, playwright, filmmaker, actor, and recipient of Padma Bhushan and Gyanpith Awards, published Tughlaq in Kannada in 1964. Kannada was inspired to choose a historical theme. Normally, he is more interested in mythologizing the past. He was inspired to choose a historical theme, as I said, by Kirti Nath Puttakoti, a Kannada writer and critic who pointed out to Kannada that there were no plays based on historical themes in Kannada literature like that of Caesar and Cleopatra and Saint John by George Bernard Shaw in English. Ananthamurthy attributes the reason for Tughlaq's appeal to the Indian audience to the fact that it is a play of the 60s and reflects, as no other play perhaps does, the political mood of disillusionment which followed the Nehru era of idealism in the country. History, says E.H. Carr, is a series of accepted judgments, but facts and documents by themselves do not constitute history, Carr says. Tughlaq offers a veritable link between received history and its relevance in the contemporary frame of reference. Karnad's protagonist in the play is a faithful portrait and profile of the ruler as projected in Tariq-e-Firoz Shahi by Ziauddin Baradi, who figures in the play as both historian and interpreter. It is significant that Karnad's play offers useful insights into the intertextual connections between history, historiography, and the creative mind of the artist to reveal how a historical narrative related to the society of the past can serve as a key to the understanding of the present. Girish Karnad's essential concern in the play revolves around Tughlaq, who was not only the most idealistic, the most intelligent king ever to come on the throne of Delhi, including the Mughals, but also one of the greatest failures. The story of the meteoric rise of a monarch endowed with visionary idealism and the subsequent decline and downfall of this tremendously capable man within a span of 20 years provided Girish Karnad with an excellent backdrop against which he could portray, project, and foreground the discourse of visionary politics, the politics of demagoguery, the socio-cultural ethos governing fundamentalist ideologies, and the crisis of a secular nationhood. In his introduction to Karnad's play, U.R. Ananthamurthy rightly avers that the elusive and haunting quality of the play comes from the ambiguities of Tughlaq's character related to philosophical questions on the nature of man and the destiny of a whole kingdom which a dreamer like him controls, writes Karnad in the play. By analyzing the fateful events of Tughlaq's times in the context of post-1960s India, Karnad presents a moving parable of political idealism gone awry, whose relevance would continue in the country's timeless existence. The manner in which Karnad has amalgamated the political significance of Tughlaq's reign with his aesthetic and emotional response to an emperor who felt that he alone had the correct answer shows Karnad's ingenuity in presenting historical truth beyond the limits of an academic landscape. Karnad makes judicious use of Bharani's account to recreate the paradoxical Tughlaq of history. Endowed with infinite powers of body and mind, Tughlaq stands out as the wisest and the most foolish Muslim ruler of India. Tughlaq's extraordinary generosity to his subjects, and at the same time his ruthlessness in getting rid of his enemies and evildoers by putting thousands to death on the slightest suspicion, seems a difficult trapeze balancing act. In the opening scene of the play, we find Muhammad Tughlaq expressing his delights and satisfaction over the manner in which justice works in his kingdom, without, he says, any consideration of might or weakness, religion or creed. His dream is to perpetuate greater justice, equality, progress, and peace. Not just peace, but a more purposeful life. Continuing in his vein of idealism, he announced that to achieve this noble end, he has decided to shift the capital of his empire from Delhi to Daulatabad. His rationale for such a decision is that Daulatabad is a city of the Hindus, and as the capital, it will symbolize the bond between Muslims and Hindus, which he wishes to develop and strengthen in his kingdom. Known the world over for his knowledge of philosophy and poetry, Karnat's protagonist, like his historical prototype, experiences a thrill in imagining the creation of a new world which he intends to rule, not with the power of the scepter in the style of a Muslim fundamentalist tyrant, but by emulating the visionary idealism of the Greeks, Zarathustra, and the Buddha. Inspired by the Chinese use of paper currency, this is interesting because he's also very innovative and he wants to take his rule forward. Inspired by the Chinese, he introduces copper currency in his kingdom, a scheme that ends in total failure because of his lack of foresight in not anticipating its futility in terms of economic consequences. There are characters like Sheikh Imamuddin and Sheikh Shihabuddin, and even the historian Barni, who deeply appreciate how Tughlaq has done a lot of good work. He has built schools, hospitals, made good use of the money, but they tell him, this is significant, that he must use all that God has given, power, learning, intelligence, talent, to repay his debt by spreading Islam round the world, instead of trying to become another God. As his dreams of ruling by the power of benevolence, justice, and impartiality lie shattered by the opposition he encounters, the philosopher king soon turns into a cruel tyrant. Unable to sustain his ideology of goodness for long, Tughlaq slides into the morass of despotism. He proudly celebrates his right to slaughter people, to be known by his beloved subjects as Mad Muhammad and as Lord of the Skins. He does not hesitate in asserting that not words, but the sword, that's all I have to keep my faith in my mission. The naivety of Tughlaq becomes apparent in his failure to realize how even in his reign, religion is inextricably linked to politics. At the beginning of the play, we find an announcer informing the crowd of people how Vishnu Prasad, a Brahmin of Shiknar, has won his suit against the Sultan himself and has received just compensation for the loss of his land, which had been seized illegally by the officers of the state. In upholding the claim of Vishnu Prasad against his own authority, Tughlaq feels elated to see how he can dispense justice in his kingdom, irrespective of consideration of might, religion, or creed. Shortly after, this is very amusing, shortly after we are informed that Vishnu Prasad is none else than Aziz, a low-caste Muslim washerman who, masquerading as a poor Hindu Brahmin litigant, succeeds in exploiting Tughlaq's concept of justice and impartiality. Interestingly, Aziz confesses to his friend Azam that he chose to masquerade as a poor Hindu Brahmin simply because a Muslim plaintiff against a Muslim king would not synchronize with the Sultan's idea of impartial justice. This is something which even Aziz, a character like Aziz, understands. And through the various utterances of Aziz, Girish Karnad skillfully portrays the relevance of what, in contemporary parlance, we call politics and diplomacy. Aziz tells Azam, now I think you really should be listening to this carefully because it gives you a lot of ideas about what you can do. You have been in Delhi for so many years, and you are as stupid as ever. Look at me. Only a few months in Delhi, and I've covered a whole new world, politics. My dear fellow, that's where our future is, politics. It's a beautiful world, wealth, success, position, power, and yet it is full of brainless people. People with not an idea in their head. When I think of all the tricks I used in our village to pinch a few torn clothes from people, if one uses half that intelligence here, one can get robes of power. It's a fantastic world. In order to be successful in politics, Aziz offers the reader and the audience a prudent recipe that is as relevant today as it was in the reign of Tughlaq. And this is what Aziz continues to tell Azam. See, we all probably are used to learning right from our childhood that we must speak the truth, we must do no evil and hear no evil and all that. So this is what Aziz tells Azam 7 centuries before. A man must commit a crime at least once in his lifetime. Only then will his virtue be recognized. Listen, if you remain virtuous throughout your life, no one will say a good thing about you because they won't need to, but start stealing and they will say, what a nice boy he was, but he is ruined now. Then kill someone and they will beat their breasts and say, oh heavens, he was only a petty thief all these days. He never hurt anyone, but alas. Then rape a woman and the chorus will go into hallelujahs. He was a saint and look at him now. Aziz doesn't stop at that. He logically spells out his long-term goals. He says, you rob a man, you run and hide. It's so pointless. One should be able to rob a man and stay there to punish him for getting robbed. So first you rob a man and then you punish him. Why did he get robbed? That's called class. That is what Aziz says. That's being a real king. In Tughlaq's rule, it was possible for ordinary mortals like Aziz to exploit the politics of communalism to gain a stretch of land and to manage a post in the civil service to ensure him a regular and adequate income, says the play. In contemporary times, the likes of Aziz may exploit similar situation to reach the apex in the pyramid of power. With a little astuteness, it has become possible to use religion or caste in controlling the nerve centers of power. It is little surprising that even today, elections in the country can be won or lost on purely communal or caste lines. Money and muscle power are vital supplements for acquiring power. If one has a proven criminal record, he is bound to be respected and worshipped by his followers. What else would somebody need? While advocating the secular cause, Tughlaq never seemed to have realized that his idealism would set him up against the Amirs, the ulema, and the Saids, who did not appreciate the ruler's lack of fundamentalism in approaching the holy book. Tughlaq wanted to command by the power of trust and understanding, but the vitiated atmosphere of a court dominated by the communalization of politics makes him ask Bharani sadly, are all those I trust condemned to go down in history as traitors? Tell me, will my reign be nothing more than a tortured scream which will stab the night and melt away in the silence? The ruler who began with the hopes of building a new feature of India has learned to solve all problems in the flash of a dagger. We learn from the play. Tughlaq's act of shifting his capital from Delhi to Daulatabad and back again to Delhi suggests the tragic attributes of his nemesis. Tughlaq's attempt to propagate communal harmony between Hindus and Muslims may be an excellent recipe for the symptomatic malaise of both 14th century and contemporary India, but such notions of harmony were then, as are now, nothing but transcripts of utopian dreams. The seeds of disorder afflicting society and communal lines seem to have been sown centuries ago. Nurtured and nourished by mutual hatred and violence, these seeds of dissent ultimately led to the partition of the subcontinent, the after effects of which can be witnessed at regular intervals, be it a scene of a riot or an India-Pakistan match in a stadium. The play also tells us that the introduction of religion into politics to secure power over the masses by arousing their political consciousness appears to have become a dominating factor in the game of power politics. The contemporaneity of Karnad's play emerges from his identification of the variables and the constants which have controlled the power equation, ironically, in the world's largest democracy. Through a series of events, Karnad shows how power once rooted is not easily shaken. Once a demagogue fails in transforming power into authority, the waning consent of the governed compels the demagogue to assume the role of a cruel and relentless despot. Tughlaq takes recourse to methods of coercion to legitimize the power that he wields. Tughlaq emerges as a shrewd politician who has learned the art of transforming every adverse situation to his advantage. This is an interesting incident from the play which I would like to share with you. In the play, he invites the charismatic religious leader, Imamuddin, to address a public meeting and gives him the freedom of denouncing the policies of Tughlaq in public. The ruler says to this character, Imamuddin, that go into the public and say whatever you feel like against what you don't like in my actions. And it shows what a great ruler he may have been. The act may appear to exemplify Tughlaq's courage and integrity in allowing freedom of expression to prevail in his kingdom. But this is all a facade of impartiality and supreme objectivity, which comes to the fore when we learn in the play that while the drum beaters were propagating the message of Tughlaq, his soldiers have gone from door to door to prevent and threaten everyone from attending the said meeting. So when they come to see in the meeting, there is nobody there. Tughlaq's tragic tale is symptomatic of the inherited complex problems of Indian society. Time and again, it has been proved that mere idealism, unrelated to the understanding of the times, cannot by itself help in reaching visionary heights. The ever-increasing criminalization of politics, characterized by the power of might over right, is indicative of the failure of ideals that the freedom fighters had envisaged for the country. The play also goes on to show how hard measures imperative to the progress of the nation can never find acceptance with either the players of the power game or with the common populace. Rampant corruption has made the ideals of honesty anachronistic. In a society poised between secular and fundamentalist ideologies, the parameters of Tughlaq's world bear close resemblance to the discourse of the Indian political and cultural experience, despite there being essential differences between the characteristic features of the 14th century and that of modern India. In conclusion, I would like to remind you, while talking about the importance of Karnat's powerful play, what George Santayana had warned us about in 1905. Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much, sir, for adding a new perspective to our understanding of Girish Karnad's magnum opus, Tughlaq. It is a phenomenal work, and I'm sure all of you have read it, if I'm not wrong, because it is prescribed in syllabus of almost all the universities of our country. So thank you so much, sir, for beautifully weaving history, religion, politics, and all. We are truly honored to have your presence here and grateful to you for giving your time to us every time we ask you. So from Amity University, I'm thankful to you, sir. And I would just request Professor Deepa Chakrabarti to say a few words.
Appreciate, sir. This is not the first time that you delivered an excellent talk, particularly when you bring into the fore the crisis of democracy that we are going through. Because what Girish Karnad said and what we are practicing today is almost highlighting the crisis that communal harmony is an utopia. We may say a lot of things, but when it comes to implement it, we are in a problem. Today, it is the same thing. And I think you struck the same note, and that is something very, very interesting and make our discourse contemporary. Thank you, sir. And
thank you, Dr. Deepa. I think, like you said, that I'm about my association with the Amity University conferences. It almost appears, that I'm kind of as imperative as the logo of the university when you are.
there is,
I'm sure that I've not gone into very great details explaining the theatrical techniques. But I think I've shared enough for all those participants who would like to go to Delhi and try their hand in politics.
Yes.
So I thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. But feedback, because you're the guest of honor also for the valedictory. Do stay.
Twice.
Sir.
Thank you so much. And thanks a lot to all the participants.
Yes. They can hear you. They can. Yes.
For their very courageous ability to withstand 20 minutes.
Particularly when it comes to the closure of the conference. That you animated it so much that everybody is enjoying. Thank you.
I'm sure that that's worth it. Thank you so much.
So a very good afternoon to one and all present here to the valedictory ceremony of this two-day international conference on revisiting history, ethnicity, and myth in literature. It seems as if yesterday only we started and today we are ending. These 2 days have been phenomenal. And in these 2 enlightening days, we have witnessed thought-provoking sessions that have delved into the intricate relationship of history, myth, literature, culture, ethnicity, mythology, scriptures, religion, politics, and whatnot. Means that was an area that has covered almost all the aspects which we can think of researching on. So I'm endlessly thankful. I'm immensely thankful to all the speakers, guests, all the delegates who joined us for these 2 days. So first of all, I would like to welcome our guest of honor. I would like to welcome our guest of honor, Professor Indrajit Bhattacharya. Thank you so much. I would appreciate if you can give a round of applause. My heartfelt thanks to Professor G.K. Aseri, Pro Vice Chancellor, Amity University, Rajasthan, for taking out his time and gracing the dais. We welcome you, sir. And heartfelt welcome to all the deans, directors, HODs, OSD sir, Rathore sir, and the participants, the beautiful audience who are with us from last 2 days. Yes, you deserve a round of applause. Thank you everyone for joining in. So I would now request Professor G.K. Aseri to please felicitate a floral welcome to our guest of honor who is present offline. And yes, guest of honor who is present online, Professor Nibir Ghosh. If we can please see Nibir sir here, please. Yes, on the screen. Yeah, okay, he's here. Yes, sir. So a virtual welcome to you too, sir. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. बोला ना. Thank you so much, sir, for your gracious presence here. Thank you, sir. Thank you. So now with great pleasure, I invite Professor Deepa Chakrabarti, our convener of this conference, to come forward and share the comprehensive report on the proceedings and achievements of this conference. But before, Madam, you come here, I would like to share with everyone that what an instrumental role you have played in making this conference happen and making this event actually alive. So thank you so much, ma'am, for being our support and for being our backbone. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. So I'll be giving you a very brief report of the 2 days. Amity School of Languages organized 2 days international conference on revisiting history, ethnicity, and myth in literature, REHEM 2023. The theme of the international conference attracted people across the world. Particularly when I talk about the resource persons, they are of international and national repute. And we received more than 130 abstracts, which we could publish in the form of a souvenir. These abstracts actually covered various fields of literature, history, ethnicity, and culture studies. The inaugural session commenced with welcome note by myself only. and it followed the lamp lighting and Saraswati Bandana. So after that, we have our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Amit Jain, who welcomed all the guests of honor, chief guests, keynotes, and all the participants and dear students, and highlighted the role of literature in our lives. Chief guest inaugural of the conference, Dr. David Frawley, an eminent American author, poet, astrologer, Padma Bhushan awardee, shed light on the richness of the ancient language Sanskrit, the language of Vedas and Upanishads. He pointed out the fact that the young generation is losing interest very rapidly in these old texts, old but valuable, due to the modern media culture of mobile telephones, and emphasized also that mantra Shakti has the depth of metaphors and sounds, which in turn have the illuminating power of speech. Guest of honor, Ms. Dharminder Kanwar, in her address, highlighted the various representations of myth and mythology in contemporary literature by giving examples of Chitra Banerjee Divakaruni's retelling of the epic Mahabharata from the perspective of Draupadi, and also the epic Ramayana from Sita's perspective through a feminist approach. The first keynote address was given by Ms. Tripti Pandya, a well-known travel writer in the field of tourism and culture. Okay, now, to do this. Okay. She drew an analogy between an apple and history, where the pulp signifies the facts and the core represents the interpretation of the historical text. Next keynote address was given by the chief guest, Professor Madhu Kishwar, a noted Indian academician and senior fellow at Nehru Memorial Museum and Library. She conducted a workshop on Women's Reservation Bill in Indian politics and highlighted the inherent flaws in the reservation scheme. She explained the reasons of low representation of women in the legislatures. Professor Kishwar concluded the session with the question, is politics enriched by the presence of women? After the lunch break, there was plenary talk by Professor Hemendra Chandalia on the topic Myths of Genesis and Genesis of Myths. He narrated 5 stories about the genesis of cosmos, prevalent in various cultures: Brahma myth, biblical myth, Islamic myth, Greek myth, and Egyptian myth. In the afternoon, there were 5 technical sessions conducted parallelly in various rooms. A host of research scholars, students, teachers presented their related research papers in these technical sessions with a wide-ranging array of topics in fields of memory studies, women and gender studies, cultural studies, psychology, migration and diaspora, hermeneutics, studies of myth-making in humanities. These were chaired by noted academicians from English studies and allied disciplines. The day was concluded with a vibrant cultural show by our talented students of Amity University, Rajasthan. The second day of REHEM conference started with a keynote talk by Sir Jonathan Lockhart on the topic George Orwell and Language Against Lies. He based his remarks on Orwell's well-known essay, Politics of English Language. Professor Hart cautioned against the insincere use of language, which works to hide the truth in ready-made and overused jargons. This illuminating session was followed by the plenary talk of Dr. Sinvi Geraldine from Cameroon. She spoke about the novel Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe, a Nigerian author, first published in 1958. The novel discusses the pre-colonial and colonial African society. Dr. Geraldine discussed various myths present in the novel. From a post-colonial viewpoint, the process of colonization was preceded by proselytization, which declared the aboriginal nature-oriented myths and deities, such as god of fertility, Chuku, as heathen beliefs. The talk was followed by 5 parallel technical sessions, again chaired by renowned academicians. There was a wide range of fields from gender studies, history, ethnology, cultural studies, post-colonial studies, literary studies, Francophone literature, to name a few. After the lunch break, Dr. Indrajit Bhattacharya delivered a talk. He spoke about the role of literature in history, ethnicity, and myth in society and traditions. The myths have contributed to the diversity of customs and cultures. There are many similarities between the structures of Indian and Western mythology. He also noted that the psychological impact of mythological figures on popular actions. This was followed by Professor Nivir Ghosh's keynote address, who spoke on Girish Karnad's Tughlaq. And particularly, he highlighted the crisis of the secular state. And he stated that communal harmony in the times of the production of this famous work and in our times remain the same, an utopian dream. So we need to really give a thought to it, and our actions should make it a truth. Till date, it is not. So that is in brief. A glimpse of what happened across these 2 days. And one of our students have also made a photo collage.
Yes, sir.
Such a beautiful and a very quick video prepared by our students. Thank you so much for giving us memories for lifetime. Thank you so much, students. And now moving further, I would like to say that this is my 7th month in this university. And since I have joined, I have seen Vice Chancellor Sir and Vice Chancellor Sir working for the betterment of the university. And I would like to say that for Pro Vice Chancellor Sir, that your open door policy and your willingness to engage with students, faculty members, staff members is a testament of your leadership style. And I heartily welcome you here to say a few words of wisdom to us. So over to you, sir. I request you all to please give a round of applause to sir.
So thank you very much. We are the team, and let's welcome on behalf of MET University Rajasthan, Dr. Ghosh online. Namaskar, sir, and welcome.
Namaskar, sir.
And university आपका स्वागत करती है, and Dr. Indrajit, namaskar आपको भी. So really it is a very good platform for the relevant students, faculty members, scholars, and I have attended almost 5-10 minutes inaugural session also, and had almost 30 minutes discussion during the lunch with your some of the experts. Really, it is a good selection of speakers online and offline, because really it is very tough job to pick the speakers and make a capsules in form of sessions. And Dr. Deepa Chakrabarti, we are good friends since last 14-15 years. So she's heading the department, and very nice team. So congratulations to you for successful event. And this is the last session. So in presence of our OSD to Chancellor Brigadier Rathod, DDG, heads, deans, directors, faculty members, scholars, students, it is the last session, but I think this must be a very energetic session, because now you are fully imbibed and with full energy and the new ideas, because definitely this is the objective of the university given by the Vice Chancellor, that each and every activity must be well planned and well scheduled. So this is the part of teaching, learning, and evaluation. One conference means a lot of subject luminaries are visiting university. You agree with me? Then raise your hand. Very good. Thank you. Because I know some sessions we feel, अरे ये तो सुनता जा रहे हैं, कुछ बोलने को नहीं मिल रहा है. That is why they people are very indisciplined. So you people are maybe busy with mobile, busy with some online literature. But as our Vice Chancellor said, today's generation is multitasker. Definitely you are searching some new information and using your ears and eyes simultaneously. Again, raise your hand for you that you are the multitaskers. Good. This is the last session, and it is a wonderful time when Madam has already gone through the report of 2 days. Really, it is a white paper, because if we are organizing an event, the last session gives what is the total nutshell, conclusion, saransh. Now, the point is what to do with this saransh, what to do with this extract. Yes, this is the take-home message. When you are the UG students, PG or PhD, take this message, incorporate something in your plan, and act accordingly. My dear students, I am interacting with UG, PG, and PhD scholars frequently. These conferences, I think, are the rare event in our journey, because in domain, once in a semester, this is the, I think, maximum we are providing. As a university, we are 16 departments. Every department is organizing this type of the event. And as a university, students are attending many events, including domain related or the value addition. And Madam is heading the language department. it is itself is a versatile department. Each and every students are connected with the language department as they are teaching to the entire university. So a big congratulations, good participation. I have seen the report, what you have presented. I have seen the very beautiful photographs, what your student Anirudh has taken. Thank you. Very good job. And really, you have just capsulated all the energy and the diversity in a small pictorial view. So it's very good. And nutshell, as I always says, because I am the Dean Academics, it is a learning platform. Definitely, you might have gone through all sessions seriously. While watching YouTube, I'm not worried about your YouTube, but definitely you might have taken the good extract in your notes, books, and in your memory. So good. Best wishes. Take home message. Our wish is to utilize this experience, and thanks to all the visitors, all the speakers on dais and off the dais. And thanks for visiting university. Continue visiting our university, interact with the faculty members, our students and scholars. We need your support, and definitely our main aim is to provide the holistic development to our students. So the teaching, learning, evaluation and inculcation of the good practices, good ethics and moral value among students is our main objective. And our 11,000 students are in the different industries as a alumnus, and we are working towards excellence. Definitely you might have visited our university yesterday also. I have seen few of the speakers in our cultural evening yesterday. Definitely you enjoyed the stay with the university. Please visit us again. Congratulations to you and your full team, madam. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for always inspiring us and motivating us to excel in all the fields. So I would now request our guest of honor for the day, Professor Nibir Ghosh, to please address the audience.
Thank you once again for inviting me to this valedictory session. Professor Aseri, Professor Indrajit, Professor Jonathan, Dr. Deepa, Dr. Parul, members of the department, participants, friends, ladies and gentlemen. I really, as Professor Aseri's welcoming words I heard, and I was really keen to visit the university personally. But then I thought, I had read in the childhood that distance lends enchantment to the view. So I thought, let me take a look through the virtual mode. It's a pleasure to be here. In this opportunity that you've given me, I would like to congratulate the university for, first of all, for giving a theme of great importance for this conference: revisiting history, ethnicity, and myth in literature. I'll briefly shed light on each of these terms and show their interrelationship. In a Paris Review interview, Chinua Achebe referred to an old African proverb that says, "Until the lions have their own historians, histories of the hunt will glorify the hunter." In the same interview, Achebe said that storytelling is something we have to do so that the story of the hunt will also reflect the agony, the travail, the bravery, even of the lions. E.H. Carr says the study of history is a study of causes in his iconic book, What is History? And adds that the great historian or the great thinker is the one who asks the question why about new things or new contexts. I'm sure most of us are familiar with concepts like eraser, bleaching, or even whitening of history that form the lexicon of contemporary discourse. It is necessary, therefore, to revisit history and ask questions rather than take things, events, and opinions for granted. As for ethnicity, its current importance, I will refer to just two instances. For substantiating the contemporary significance of ethnicity, one of the instances I would like to talk about relates to a French policeman who shot and killed Nabil Marzouk, a 17-year-old boy at a traffic checkpoint in Nanterre, a suburb of Paris, resulting in widespread riots in France and other countries. According to the testimony of Nahel's beloved mother, the police officer who shot him saw an Arab face, a little kid, and wanted to take his life. The Nahel incident also brings to our mind a similar event in Minneapolis, Minnesota, where George Floyd, a Black man, was murdered by Derek Chauvin, a 44-year-old white police officer, on 25th May 2020. In this context of ethnicity issues, the recent saga of Manipur burning is again no exception. As for myth, I think it is a very important term which this conference has emphasized on. Writers have always been fascinated by the remoteness, mystery, and heroism of myths. Carl Gustav Jung, the psychologist, has stated that the materials of myths lie in the collective unconscious of the race. Inspired by the myth embedded in Oedipus Rex by Sophocles, written 2,500 years ago, Sigmund Freud revolutionized human thought in modern world by coining the term what is now universally known as the Oedipus complex. Similarly, we are all aware of Prometheus, the Greek god, who was punished and chained to a rock for helping mankind with fire. He has been the source of inspiration for numerous works of immortal fame. A case in point is Christopher Nolan's film Oppenheimer, which is very much in discussion these days, that is based on the biography of J. Robert Oppenheimer, the American theoretical physicist credited with being the father of the atomic bomb. And the title of the book on which this film is based is called American Prometheus, The Triumph and Tragedy of J. Robert Oppenheimer, jointly authored by K. Byard and Martin J. Sherwin in 2005. As for literature, as most of the majority of the participants, they come from the literature stream, I guess, I would refer to a statement which Socrates made at his trial, for which he was punished by drinking the. He had given to mankind something to look for. He said, an unexamined life is not worth living. Therefore, as writers, academics, scholars, and researchers, I find it is incumbent upon each one of us to meaningfully apply ourselves to take forward the ideas and approaches provided by this successful international conference. To those who doubt the efficacy of literature in transforming lives at critical time like the ones we live in, I would like to share a statement made by Salman Rushdie after that horrendous attack was made on him. And normally it is a tendency, of anyone who's not connected with humanism, humanity, and literature for that matter, that what can literature do? Why should we study literature? And what can literature do? I'm sharing with you and concluding with this line by Salman Rushdie. He said, a poem cannot stop a bullet. A novel cannot defuse a bomb, but we are not helpless. We can sing the truth and name the liars. Thank you very much, Amity University, for giving me this opportunity to be with you again. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable insights on this theme. We will always be indebted to you. Now I would request Professor Jonathan Lockhart, who is the chief guest of our valedictory ceremony, to please deliver your address to the audience. And I would like to say that it is 4 a.m. in Canada right now, and sir has woken up just for us. So I request you all, those who are sleeping, to please wake up, because sir has waken up for us and you are sleeping. That doesn't go well. Please. Yes, it's 3:30 a.m. and look at the commitment and dedication sir has for us, and the blessings that sir showers onto us every time we invite him for our conference. He's our adjunct professor as well. So over to you, sir. I know you need no introduction. People, you can search him. He's a well-known and a renowned name on internet. You can, please, sir, over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the introduction, and thank you for, I've been up listening to the keynotes and the previous speakers. What I would like to focus on is the future. I talked about George Orwell and how language is used for lying. I had the pleasure of meeting Rushdie once, and that was a terrible attack on him. And so I'm glad he's talking about singing the truth to the lies and the liars. What I'd like to talk about a little bit is about the future and about the younger students who are at the university, at Amity University, and those around the world. I think it's very important to do what John Milton suggested people do and showed in his life when he was blind and composing his epic, and that is to be patient. I think that in some ways, thinking deeply and thinking carefully and reading slowly and rereading and rethinking are all very important things. We don't want to be like a water spider who just goes along the surface. So it's important to dive deep into things, to follow your passions. And by passions, I mean your love for literature, your love for language, your love for other people. People don't usually use the word love much when it comes to being in universities or being in departments or being in governments. But in a sense, that rabbi that was quite important to at least parts of Europe and the world, Jesus of Nazareth, talked about loving your neighbor as you love yourself. And it seems to me that Socrates was also quite paradoxical, that sometimes just one sentence by them, Socrates talks about knowing thyself, but how difficult it is to know. So he's set the challenge of how we know ourselves and we know the world and how it's so difficult to know. So a little humility, which is probably in all major religions and in major philosophies, is an important thing. I try, and it perhaps is my nature. I grew up in nature a lot as a child. So I got to see animals and plants and other people in a kind of natural habitat. That's why somebody like William Wordsworth or Shakespeare, I find quite interesting because of the close connection to nature. So a little bit of humility that here we are, we're creatures or animals or beings in nature along with other beings. And so that humans have to be careful not to have too much hubris or pride. We do have brains that are very complicated, just as the cosmos is complicated. So when the brain looks at the cosmos, there are many, many more questions than we can answer in this brief life. But I would want to focus on the fact that I try, and perhaps my nature is to look at somebody and something else in nature as being alive and having every bit as much of a right to live as I do. And I'm here for a brief moment. There's darkness, then there's light, and then there's darkness. And that's true of all humans. So I think what can happen is that because we don't choose to be born, and we are born into a very difficult dilemma, and I say this in my fiction and my poetry as well as my nonfiction, that sometimes you have to choose light over darkness, life over death. That just because we're born to die doesn't mean we have to choose a death cult. We don't have to bring darkness and ugliness and horror into the world. We will find it all around us. But I think that it's important for us to look at other people and other beings as being very important. We're all in it together. And so the word ethnicity, sometimes it's important, it's there, but really in many ways we're human. And if we think of all countries, all cultures, that they're very important. And I don't want to speak for too long, and I don't want to get into cultural nationalism, because Europeans helped to develop nationalism, and it's been on the whole a bit of a horror show in the 19th and 20th centuries. The world wars, European civil wars that spread around the world were low points in history, which is Stephen Dedalus, Joyce's character says that history is a nightmare from which we're trying to awaken. What I'd like to do is focus on the importance of India and Indian culture. And of course, by that, I mean this incredibly complex area of South and Central Asia that we now call India and Pakistan and various places, Sri Lanka and so on, that think of it as so many cultures, so many languages, so many deep philosophies, so much wisdom, so many technical advances, that, in a sense, we all trade along roads and along sea routes, and that we can say, oh, this is British, or this is French, or this is Indian, or whatever. But in a sense, mathematics and all the things that India has shared, and one shouldn't look at the past just to have a kind of nationalism. But I think we have to remember that the Tigris and Euphrates River and the Indus River, as far as we know, are perhaps the oldest areas of literacy in the world. Literacy is a great gift. It's a sacred gift. And so that's a gift that the people who lived in northern India helped to give to the world. And so I think it's important. I stress this when I'm talking to Chinese students, and I have a long connection to Asia of decades. I say it's a two-way street. Europe was weak. Europe needed places like India, Indonesia, Japan, China. So it expanded out of weakness. It expanded out of necessity. We can go back and we can reread history with a kind of triumph, but Europe was weak. It had to learn. It knew that the richest and most diverse places were India and China on the whole, and places around them. And so I think it's good not to be nationalistic and to be too proud, because that leads us to blindness and being deaf to others. But I think the younger students and others are the future, their hope, and they should feel a sense of wonder, a sense of pride in where they're from, without a sense of not being able to hear and see other people. And this applies to Europe and other places, that I think a little bit of humility and doubt, and knowing, as I do, that I have so much more to learn, and not hiding behind titles or accomplishments. There's always something new to learn each day when we wake up. And so I would say to students, India and you in the future have so much to offer the world. You have a big responsibility, that India will help move the world forward. And I hope that will be in a very productive way, and it will draw on the work of your ancestors who for thousands of years have been doing the same thing. And I just hope that in my own small way, I've helped you to celebrate a terrific conference. And I thank the organizers. And Deepa, thank you so much for inviting me back. And I just want to say thank you to everyone and to the other speakers and to the students. And the students, we must remember we all are students. I'm a student. I've just been slower and studying a bit longer. And we all start somewhere. I think we are all in small sessions, in small little rooms talking to a few people. And so you're the future, and I look forward to learning from you. And I do counsel patience, depth, slowness, consideration, and not jumping to conclusions and judgments about nature and other people. And I thank you again. And since it's early in the morning, I don't want to go over time too much. And so thank you. All the best. And I'll pass that over to the organizers now. Thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Jonathan. It's been awesome. In fact, your keynote address talking about language, which should not be a language of lie, but honesty, sincerity, coming from heart. You stressed a lot on that, particularly for the young generation. And when you talk now, it again added another dimension to this conference. Thank you so much. As a chief guest, you really honored us, and Professor Nibil Ghosh also, with your words of wisdom. And these are the truth that we have to really ponder upon. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Again.
So now it's time to recognize and celebrate excellence. It's time where students and participants are waiting for the best to know about the best research paper and the best presentations in these 2 days. So here I am with the list. So I would request the offline presenters, like who all will be here, to please quickly come to the stage and collect your certificate. I would request Professor G.K. Aseri and our guest of honor, Professor Indrajit Bhattacharya, along with ma'am and sir, to please come forward. And so there had been 11 technical sessions in these 2 days. And in technical session 1, the best research paper presentation award goes to Utkarsh Saini. He did a phenomenal job. What a kind of research you have done. What an accent in which you came about, and everything was excellent. In technical session 2, a jointly written paper by Muhammad Bilal and Hussein Muhammad Shahnawaz Sultan from Aligarh Muslim University. A big round of applause to the whole camaraderie who came here, stayed here with us for 2 days. Congratulations. In technical session 3, Miss Prachi. Is she with us? Miss Prachi is there. Okay. Miss Prachi Sharma and Dr. Sucharita Sharma. So I would request Miss Priyanka Prem to please collect on her behalf. Yes, please. Right now, you may collect it. Yeah, Prachi is your student of St. Xavier's, and Dr. Sucharita is from IIS University. Absolutely, ma'am. In technical session 4, which was held in online mode, Miss Harshita Poswal is the winner. Anybody from her friends or relatives? Nobody. Okay. Is it? Okay, you will collect it. Okay, please. Right? At least the people are connected here. That's why. Yes. Wait. Technical session 5. In technical session 6, Himanshi Parmar. Is she here with us? Today she was here in the morning. Anybody? Okay. Technical session 7, Aniba Tariq. Again from, sorry. The people have joined here. That's why I have to take their names. Certificate nahi hai. Okay. Technical session 8, Akshita Bhatt. Technical session 9, Gazania Eden. I know. Technical session 10, Debalina Rao Chaudhary. And technical session 11, Maliha Vasai. So we are giving certificates only to participants who have presented offline, and to the online presenters will circulate it via email. So thank you very much and congratulations to all the paper presenters. You have done a phenomenal job, and very soon we will get these papers published in a UGC care listed or a Scopus indexed journal, or maybe in an edited volume. So thank you so much, everyone. And as we draw the curtains of this remarkable conference, let us carry forward the knowledge that we have shared here in these 2 days. And so would like to invite Dr. Manoj Kumar to propose a vote of thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. I understand due to paucity of time, I'll be concluding it very precisely. So very good evening, one and all present here, and those who are listening to me via virtual mode. It is truly an honor and a privilege to stand before you and deliver a word of thanks for this remarkable conference. First and foremost, my genuine gratefulness to our Honorable Founder President, Dr. Ashok K. Chauhan sir, and Honorable Chancellor, Dr. Ashim Chauhan sir, for their blessings. I would like to thank our chief guest for the valedictory, who's been there with us since morning, Professor Jonathan Lockhart, who honored this conference with his inspirational thoughts. Whenever we have conference, no program can be there without him. I also thank our guest of honor, Professor Nibir Ghosh, though who could not join via physical mode, but sir, we've been listening to you for long, and it's an honor for us to have you via virtual mode. Sir Indrajit Bhattacharya, sir, your paper, whatever questions we have in our brochure, I'm sure it was paper of all the papers. I would also thank to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, Professor Amit Jain, for his guidance and continuous support and motivation. Sir PVC, sir, he is always with us. Whenever we want any suggestion, any guidance, it is always given. Whenever there is any shortcoming, he tells us directly and asks us to improve upon that. So thank you very much, sir, for being with us in the campus, outside the campus, wherever we need him. He is just a phone call away. I would fail in my duty if I do not mention the name of our HOI, Professor Deepa Chakravarti, madam. Because of certain issues, she could not be there for some days, but I know that for 24 hours, she was there calling us again and again, and kept on asking about what was going on and how can we improve to make this conference better. I also want to express our heartfelt gratitude to all the speakers from AMU, from Jammu, Kashmir, from all over the different states. And I can see some of the participants who have joined from different countries too. Your expertise, Madam Ranjit Kaur is here, who's also UBA coordinator from Xavier's College. We've been there through online and offline mode. We are thankful to everyone. Whatever guidance, whatever suggestions you have given, I'm sure that it will be and value to us. And as Gunja madam talked about, that this will be published in Scopus or maybe UGC listed journals.
And a special word of thanks goes out to our organizing committee. Many members, those who are with us, those who may not be here, but this was there for a long time. And some of us, like if I talk about some names, R.K. Pachori sir and his team, for smooth conduction of the event online and offline, team admin for logistics support. Without them, you can understand things would have been difficult. Admission and marketing sale for making creatives for publishing, Pallavi ma'am for media coverage and report, Deepshika ma'am for banner and certificate. Though, sir, the certificate we asked for different committee or different printer, he could not give us, but Deepshika ma'am came forward and she printed all the certificates. So thank you very much. Mr. Kapil Dangi and Priya Paliwal, the theme, they have taken the theme and whatever you can see there, the decoration, what they did, it was fantabulous. There's people who came from outside, they really appreciated your effort. Mr. Manish Sharma and his team, Sachin Bansal sir for making cultural event wonderful. And I also thank student of DSW board and NSS volunteers. You can see there, they really helped us before the conference and during the conference. So at the last, I would say that katra katra samandar ho jayega, gyan nahi tha. Katra katra samandar ho jayega, gyan nahi tha. Muट्ठी में कैद अंबर हो जाएगा, अनुमान नहीं था. So आपके जज्बे को सलाम करते हुए, I once again thank all ASL students, ASL team, though I could not name each and everyone, all people who are there. So thank you very much. And we promise to see you once again for new venture. Thank you very much.
Yes, yes. Without their help, without their cooperation and blessings, we cannot move forward. So thank you, the whole fraternity of Amity University, for making this event a success. I would say this with proud. And yes, I hope you all have gained a deep knowledge about the subject that we have taken for the conference and have built up good connections as well. So looking forward to many more such collaborations and events in the future. And with this note, I would say thank you so much once again and goodbye. Have a safe journey. And now I would request everyone to stand at their place for national anthem. As you see. I would request first to yes, we can say.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
I would request all the dignitaries to please come to the dais for a group photograph. And yes, all the students, all the participants, please come. Join us for a group photograph and let us give some good memories.
Very well conducted.
Thank you.
So, Dr. Jonathan, am I audible? So, a great thanks to you. Midnight, you are addressing the students, and for the university fraternity, you are available. Hats off to you. Please visit us whenever you come to India, or Madam Deepa, invite him to
Sir,
the
let
university.
come.
Please,
Pay the flight and everything.
please visit us. Deepa ma'am will organize, and please visit us.
Well,
Great.
thank you very much. Thank you for your kind words and your welcome and your wisdom, and to Deepa as well. I really enjoy learning from you and from being part of
Great.
the event and the university.
Oh, yeah.
We learned so much from you.
Your motivation.
It's mesmerizing, sir.
Your motivation is wonderful, because midnight you are available for students. It shows your dedication and your blessings to Madam Deepa and the full department. Thank you.
Well,
Namaskar.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Have a good day. Thank you.
Bye, sir.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Hope, sir, you will remember me, Dr. Gunja.
Of course I will. Thank you for organizing everything. Hello.
Sir, hello.
You keep in touch. You have my email address, right?
Nice of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome to be in touch with me. Thanks so much for reading the poem and everything.
Okay, sir. Bye, sir.